Are there moats in AI? Everybody, even Google, seems to be treating AI as if we're some kind of winner take all competition like web search was,
That's how I roll. Winning. I have one gear. Go. Epic. Winning.
with Google taking over 95%. The backstory here is that Google is doing a funding round. They seem to be giving a discount to Berkshire Hathaway to invest a substantial amount of money in the company so that they can build out data centers even faster. But Marcus's perception is that everyone is building essentially the same technical solution with essentially the same data, so there's no moat. That's a question about who's building the strongest AI model, as if that's the only issue in AI, and it's not. This is where this is a fundamental disagreement about what is the race about. It is about building a great AI model, but there's a whole lot more to it. And what Google is spending its money on is not about building the best model. He says if there is no moat, nobody's going to take 90% of the market. Agree with. I think everybody's going to succeed, but I think he's misunderstanding what the moat is. The model isn't the moat. That's not the challenge in this game, and that's not what Google's going for either. With no clear winners, nobody can charge monopoly prices. Instead, you get price wars and commodity pricing. Again, I think he's missing it. I'm going to explain this in a minute. Everybody will end up overpaying compared to the modest profits they will be able to make in an intensely competitive regime. Am I missing something? Yes. Here's what Gary Marcus is missing. Here's what a lot of people are missing. The moat is having enough compute to serve the customers. If you think that AI demand will be relatively small, it's not growing that fast, it's not a big deal, then there's no meaningful concerns here. There's no moat. There is a supersonic tsunami of demand coming. It doesn't matter how good your model is if you don't have enough compute to serve the demand. My favorite analogy for this is AI is an ocean, and most people aren't at the beach yet. Personally, I'm ankle deep, knee deep in the water. Most people I know, they're not even at the beach. Most of my regular real world friends, they're not involved at all. I have other friends who are in deep water, they're swimming deep. Some of them are starting to build ships. 5 years from now, everyone's going to be in the water. People are going to be building fleets. There's a massive tsunami of demand coming for AI. There's no way for AI infrastructure to keep up with the demand that's coming. It's simply impossible. Even China will not be able to keep up with the demand for AI that's coming. So it's not necessarily that the moat is I have a better model. The moat is I have enough compute to serve the customers who want my AI model.
Even for things like Sora and video, which by the way, yeah, we had to make a really tough choice because we didn't have enough compute.
And
we
it uses
said,
a lot.
Most of us who are playing in this game, who've done this, who've used AI, have experienced this moment where you go to Claude, you go to ChatGPT, you go to Grok, even Grok, you go to these AIs and you ask a question like, we're busy right now. You can't use that model right now. That's not a good customer experience. And Claude is going to have this problem, and ChatGPT is going to have this problem.
in 26, if you want to buy more compute, good luck to you. Like, tell me, because I don't know where else to find it. In 27, it's pretty limited as well, frankly.
Right now, from everything I'm seeing, Grok and Gemini, SpaceX XAI, and Google are better positioned to serve the demand. OpenAI and ChatGPT don't really own their own compute. They're buying it from others. Google and SpaceX own their own compute. They have lower cost of compute. Elon in particular, I think also Google, are very, very good at building compute fast.
Elon, ironically, ended up being the one person that had too much compute.
And building it at scale and building it at low cost and getting the energy at low cost so they can serve the tokens at low cost. They can serve that demand as low cost as possible. Anthropic is very clearly paying very highly for access to compute. OpenAI is losing a ton of money. They're paying a very large amount because they're trying to get access to compute. You can deliver your compute at lower cost, at larger scale. That's where you win. It's not a pure moat, right? Anybody else can build AI, can build servers, but can you get enough? If the demand 100x's and you're able to increase your supply 10x, you're behind. It's whoever can increase their compute enough to keep up with this tsunami of demand or come as close as possible to keeping up with the tsunami of demand. There's so many ways that demand is going to increase. It's hard to predict what the killer apps will be, but it's pretty obvious that real-time video generation, being able to have an interactive video conversation with an AI, whether it's adult entertainment or otherwise, is going to be a monster killer app. And there's other killer apps that we can't even see. Just like we couldn't see the killer apps when we were in the past and the internet was coming or PC was coming, killer apps came about. Almost no one predicted them. There will be killer apps that will come on this technology wave like they do in any other. They will generate a massive amount of demand. The game is not who has the best model. He's right that everyone is competing over models and no one's getting a real advantage and there's no real moat on the model side of things. However, it is possible that having more and more compute makes it easier for you to build a better and better model. And ultimately, the people with the most compute will have the best models as well. Maybe. I don't think that's obvious. What do you think? Where's the future of compute going? Where's the future of AI going? Are we heading towards a world where you have 5 or 6 models that are competing and nobody has a profit advantage? Or do you think this compute constraint is real and that, or maybe you think the demand isn't as big as I think it's going to be? Where do you think this is going? Let me know. Give me a comment on YouTube, give me a reply on X, tell me what you think. Quick update on AI stocks. You can see that AMD continued to rise. Meta was up, Marvel Networks was up. Oracle took a bit of a hit after a big rise the day before. Palantir getting pounded, but normal volatility for most of the stocks. TSMC had their annual meeting. There were some questions about whether they're going to raise prices. There's some labor negotiations issues going on in both Taiwan and Korea that they're dealing with. Samsung is dealing with similar issues, not moving the stock much. Are they going to raise prices? He said he doesn't want to raise prices like the memory companies are raising prices. The companies want more chips. If you have to raise prices to get people more chips, that's what you got to do. He seems to be reluctant to do that. He said they're making progress on their US fab efforts. It's interesting that the media, CNBC said Broadcom stock plunges on weak software sales. They did report weaker than expected revenue. The stock wasn't down that much in the end of the day. You can see Broadcom down 0.5%. So that's not really taking a beating in this highly volatile sector. If you have a bad earnings report and your stock only goes down 0.5%, you're doing pretty good. Micron Technology, which is one of the leading memory makers along with Samsung and SK Hynix, restructuring customer agreements with new long-term contracts. Historic AI-driven demand, trying to create more predictable supply arrangements. Memory shortages are a big deal. Everybody's dealing with a shortage of memory. Micron, SK Hynix, and Samsung all trying to get HBM4, the most advanced memory needed for the future chips coming. They're all working on developing that. And Micron saying, and this is kind of interesting because Micron is a company in that memory industry where it's like very cyclical, up and down. A lot of the criticism of the memory companies is, oh, they're up and down. Well, if you lock in long-term supply agreements, long-term contracts, maybe you're insulated a little bit from the ups and downs of the cycles that other people worry about. So I don't know enough to say, but it seems like a good move. SK Hynix, one of the other leading memory makers, they're based in South Korea. They will be listing on a US stock market soon. They're making progress on it. They've told investors they're making progress on listing in the US. That'll make it easier for us to buy the stock. It'll make it easier for me to track the stock as I'm going to be rebuilding my indexes and SK Hynix will be covered. Right now, I don't cover them well because it's hard to track their stock. So once they move on to US markets, it's going to be easier to track their stock. If you believe in the memory companies, they're one of the leaders. Oracle was down, but their earnings report is coming up on June 10th, so that may move things. Citibank thinks they're going up. They have a huge backlog. They're making a big bet on cloud like everybody else. We'll see. I posted my latest options video today. If you are a YouTube channel member, ex-subscriber, or Patreon supporter, you get access to my options videos where I talk about long-term call options. I have developed a metric for evaluating these long-term call options. Today, I did an interesting twist on that, looking at some shorter-term call options, but still not short. And I think it's helpful not just in thinking about buying options, but what does the options pricing on long-term call options teach us about the AI companies we're looking at? And I think there's a couple of outliers, one on the high side and one on the low side, one on the extreme optimistic side, one on a seemingly pessimistic side. If you're interested in understanding what's happening with these AI companies long-term, how long-term investors are thinking about it, or how markets are misinterpreting the long-term, I'd really encourage you to support me as a YouTube channel member, ex-subscriber, or Patreon supporter to get access to these videos. A lot more coming. Doing one a week, different takes, and I hope it's helpful. The supporters seem to like it. Thank you so much for watching.